The old laboratory smelled of coffee and metal shavings. James Miller stood before his workbench, his tired eyes fixed on the strange material before him. 20 years of metallurgy research had led to this moment, though he hadn't known it until now. It had started as an accident, a contaminated sample, mixed with the wrong compounds, heated at the wrong temperature, all mistakes that should have ruined the experiment. Instead, they created something impossible. "This can't be right," James muttered, running another test. The small piece of metal, no larger than his palm, gleamed with a subtle blue-gray sheen under the harsh laboratory lights. He had already tried cutting it, crushing it, and melting it. Nothing worked. The metal sample sat there, unmarked and unchanged, mocking every known law of materials science. Tom, his research assistant, burst through the laboratory doors. "Professor Miller, I got the results from the pressure chamber." His hand shook as he held out the papers. "You need to see this." James grabbed the results, his eyes widening as he read the numbers. The testing chamber, designed to simulate extreme conditions, had failed before the sample showed any sign of stress. The machine broke while the metal remained perfect. "Run it again," James ordered, his voice hoarse, "and get me the electron microscope results." Hours turned into days. Days became weeks. The small team worked in secret, running every test they could imagine. Each result defied explanation. The metal didn't just resist damage. It seemed to absorb energy and redistribute it throughout its structure. 1 month after the initial discovery, James stood before the board of directors at the National Research Institute. The presentation room felt too warm, despite the air conditioning. "What we've created," James explained, pointing to the projection behind him, "is an entirely new class of metal. It's not just strong. It's practically indestructible under any conditions we can generate on Earth." The board members whispered among themselves. Dr. Roberts, the head of the institute, leaned forward. "How sure are you about these results, Dr. Miller?" James played the video from their latest test. The footage showed their sample being hit with an industrial laser, the kind used to cut through battleship armor. The beam struck the metal and disappeared. Temperature readings showed the energy dispersing evenly throughout the sample, causing no damage. "We've named it Redistributing Adaptive Metal, or RAM for short," James continued. "It appears to take any energy directed at it, kinetic, thermal, electrical, and spread it across its entire structure. The more force used against it, the stronger it becomes." The room erupted in questions. How was it made? Could they reproduce it? What were the applications? James held up his hands. "We can make more. The basic materials are common enough: iron, copper, and several trace elements. The key is the process. Something about the specific combination of temperature, pressure, and what we thought was contamination creates a completely new atomic structure." Dr. Roberts stood up. "This changes everything. We need to begin large-scale testing immediately. The military will want to." The meeting room's TV suddenly turned on by itself, cutting him off. Every screen in the building lit up with the same image: a massive fleet of ships, unlike anything ever seen on Earth, approaching from beyond Mars. First contact arrived before humanity had time to process James's discovery. As they would soon learn, timing was everything. The room fell silent as a voice, mechanical and cold, echoed through every speaker. "People of Earth, you have been found worthy of joining the Dominion. Submit within 30 of your days, or face extinction. Resistance is not advised." James looked at his sample of RAM, sitting innocently on the presentation table. The metal that didn't make sense. The metal that didn't follow the rules. Perhaps, he thought, that was exactly what humanity needed to survive what was coming. Dr. Roberts turned to him, face pale but determined. "Dr. Miller, how quickly can you scale up production?" James picked up the sample, feeling its strange warmth. "Give me 2 weeks, and everything we've got." The race to save Earth had begun. The sky above New York blazed with alien light. Massive ships, each the size of a small city, hung in perfect formation. Their hulls gleamed with an oily rainbow sheen, like soap bubbles made of metal. Humanity had 30 days to surrender, and 14 had already passed. Inside the hastily assembled World Defense Council chamber, James wiped sweat from his forehead. Military leaders from every major nation sat around the table, their faces illuminated by the holographic display of the Dominion fleet. "The first batch of ram armor is ready," James announced, placing a sleek chest plate on the table. "We've managed to create enough for 3 fighter squadrons and 1 destroyer." General Thompson picked up the armor, testing its weight. "Light," he muttered. "Too light to stop their weapons." "That's what makes it perfect," James replied. He nodded to his assistant, who started a video on the main screen. "This is footage from yesterday's test." The video showed a ram-plated vehicle taking direct hits from experimental energy weapons, the closest Earth could get to copying the aliens' technology. Each blast disappeared into the metal surface, leaving no mark. "The Dominion ships use plasma-based weapons," James explained. "All energy weapons. They don't believe in projectiles. Ram doesn't just resist their attacks, it feeds on them." Admiral Lee stood up, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. "The Dominion destroyed our lunar base yesterday. 1 shot. They didn't even slow down. You're telling me this metal can stop that?" "Not just stop it," James said. "The more power they use, the stronger Ram becomes. It's like trying to punch through water. The harder you hit, the more resistance you feel." The room erupted in argument. Half the leaders wanted to surrender, hoping to save some of humanity. The others wanted to fight, even if it meant extinction. A deep boom shook the building. Emergency lights flashed. "They're early." General Thompson grabbed his phone. "The Dominion fleet is moving." Screens around the room showed alien ships descending through the atmosphere. Their weapons charge, creating halos of purple energy. "Get the Ram squadron in the air." Admiral Lee barked orders into her comm. "Now." Before they. The first shot from the Dominion fleet erased a small island off the coast of Japan. The second turned an empty desert into glass. They were demonstrating their power, showing Earth what resistance would mean. But humanity had a surprise waiting. The first Ram-equipped fighters screamed into the sky, their hulls shimmering with the same blue-gray as James's original sample. The Dominion ships fired, expecting to swat them away like insects. Instead, the human fighters flew through the energy beams unharmed. Impossible. The alien transmission cut through all frequencies. "Your technology is centuries behind ours." More Ram fighters joined the battle. Dominion weapons, powerful enough to crack planets, splashed harmlessly off their hulls. The aliens fired again and again, each shot making the Ram armor stronger. In the council chamber, James watched the battle through satellite feeds. "They don't understand," he said quietly. "They can't hurt us anymore." A Dominion cruiser, frustrated by its useless weapons, tried to ram a human fighter. The ram-plated craft survived. The alien ship didn't. "This is Commander Wilson." A voice crackled through the speakers. "Their weapons are useless. I repeat, the ram armor works. We're going offensive." The human fighters, now practically invincible, began systematic attacks on the Dominion fleet. Earth's conventional weapons, launched from ram-protected ships, tore through alien defenses never designed to stop physical projectiles. "Send the message," Admiral Lee ordered. "To every Dominion ship, tell them we reject their offer." The alien fleet retreated in chaos, leaving behind damaged ships and shattered pride. As they fled, humanity's message followed them. "You thought we would surrender. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. Earth is protected now, and we're just getting started." In the council chamber, James stared at his reflection in a piece of ram armor. Humanity had survived its first real battle among the stars. But everyone knew, This was only the beginning. The global RAM production facility stretched for miles across the Nevada desert, its massive furnaces glowing day and night. 3 weeks had passed since humanity's first victory, and no one believed the Dominion would stay away for long. James stood in the main control room, watching numbers scroll across dozens of screens. Each one showed a different part of the RAM creation process. Getting the temperature wrong by even 1 degree would ruin an entire batch. Status report. He called out to the room of engineers and scientists gathered from around the world. Mary, the head of production, stepped forward with her tablet. We're at maximum capacity. Every factory on Earth is working around the clock. The new orbital facility comes online tomorrow. Not fast enough, James muttered, studying the global defense readouts. The Dominion will bring more ships next time. Bigger ones. The room's main screen showed their progress. Thousands of RAM plates being fitted to ships, tanks, and buildings. Space stations were being covered in RAM armor. They were even turning the metal into bullets and missiles. But would it be enough? Tom burst into the control room, waving a datapad. Professor Miller, the deep space arrays just picked up something. Hundreds of ships jumping in at the edge of the solar system. Show me. The main screen switched to a view of space. James felt his heart sink. The Dominion fleet wasn't just bigger, it was massive. Their ships blotted out the stars. They're not taking chances this time, Mary whispered. That's enough firepower to crack Earth in half. James turned to face the room. How much RAM can we make in 3 days? 3 days. Tom checked his calculations. Maybe enough to armor another 30 ships. Why? Because that's how long it will take them to reach Earth at their current speed. James pointed to different teams. I want 3 shifts running non-stop. No breaks, no delays. Divert power from civilian sectors if you have to. The room exploded into action. Around the world, similar scenes played out in every RAM facility. Humanity had tasted victory, and they weren't about to surrender now. In orbit, construction crews worked in spacesuits to attach RAM plating to the International Space Station. The metal's strange properties made it perfect for space. It absorbed radiation and redistributed heat evenly. Deep in the Mojave Desert, scientists tested new applications. They discovered that RAM didn't just stop energy weapons. When properly charged, it could release stored energy in controlled bursts. Every Dominion attack would make Earth's defenses stronger. James worked with barely a break, moving from facility to facility. He helped solve production problems, approved new applications, and pushed the limits of what RAM could do. 2 days before the Dominion fleet's arrival, he stood in the newly completed Orbital Defense Command. The station's RAM armor gleamed in the sunlight, beautiful and terrifying. Final checks complete, Mary reported. All RAM systems are operating at peak efficiency. Earth's major cities are shielded, and our fleet is ready. James nodded, too tired to speak. Humanity had done in weeks what should have taken years. Every scrap of RAM they could produce had been put to use. The Dominion's message reached them an hour later. Your resistance was impressive, but futile. We have brought the might of our entire empire. Surrender now, or watch your world burn. Earth's response was simple. Admiral Lee, standing proud on the bridge of humanity's first RAM-clad battleship, sent back a single line. Come and try. In the Orbital Command Center, James watched the final preparations. Ships moved into position, their RAM armor drinking in sunlight. Ground batteries charge, their metal shells hungry for energy. A planetary shield, made from interconnected RAM plates, began powering up. They think they're coming to destroy us, he said to no one in particular. They don't realize they're just making us stronger. The countdown to humanity's greatest battle had begun. In 3 days, they would either fall or take their place among the stars. And every second counted. Space lit up like a new sun as the Dominion fleet opened fire. 10,000 ships unleashed their weapons at once, their combined power enough to shatter planets. They expected Earth to crack like an egg. Instead, the ram's shield flared bright blue, drinking in the energy. Every shot made it stronger. Shield holding at 100%, Mary reported from her station in orbital command. No, wait. Shield strength increasing. It's at 120% and climbing. James watched the battle unfold on the main display. Earth's ram-armored fleet looked tiny compared to the Dominion Armada, but size wasn't everything. Impossible. The Dominion commander's voice boomed through all channels. Increase power. Full barrage. The alien fleet fired again. Their weapons, designed to tear apart stars, poured enough energy into Earth's shield to power civilization for a century. The ram metal absorbed it all, growing stronger with each blast. Shield at 300% capacity, Mary announced. Sir, we need to release some of this energy or the ram might become unstable. James nodded to Admiral Lee. Time to show them what RAM can really do. Earth's fleet moved forward. The ships looked like they were on fire, glowing blue-white from stored energy. The ram armor had absorbed so much power that it was ready to burst. All ships, weapons free, Admiral Lee commanded. Release ram energy pulses. Give them a taste of their own medicine. The human fleet fired, but instead of conventional weapons, they released the stored energy from their ram armor. Beams of pure power, stolen from the Dominion's own attacks, sliced through alien ships like paper. Their shields, Tom shouted, pointing at his readings. The Dominion ships can't handle their own energy being turned against them. The battle turned into chaos. Every Dominion shot made Earth's defenses stronger. Every human counterattack used the aliens' power against them. Ram-plated fighters zipped between capital ships, absorbing fire meant for larger targets and releasing it back at point-blank range. This is Commander Wilson. A familiar voice crackled over the comm. My squadron just took down a Dominion dreadnought. Their weapons are worse than useless. They're actually helping us. The Dominion fleet began to retreat, but it was too late. Earth's planetary shield had absorbed enough energy to power a devastating counterattack. At James's signal, the shield released its stored power in one massive pulse. A wave of blue-white energy expanded outward, catching hundreds of alien ships. Their shields, designed to deflect energy outward, couldn't handle their own weapons being turned against them. Ships cracked open like eggs, their crews evacuating in blind panic. Stop. The Dominion commander's voice shook. In the name of the Empire, ceasefire. We request parley. Admiral Lee looked at James, who nodded. Terms are simple, she responded. Leave our solar system, never return, and spread the word. Earth is no longer a target. We're a threat. The remaining Dominion ships fled, jumping to faster-than-light speed as soon as they cleared the planetary shield's range. They left behind hundreds of destroyed vessels, their wreckage a testament to humanity's unexpected victory. In orbital command, celebrations erupted. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger than ever. The ram metal had turned the Dominion's greatest weapon into their greatest weakness. James stood quietly, watching Earth shine below them. The planet glowed faintly blue now, the ram shield humming with absorbed power. What are you thinking? Mary asked, joining him at the window. I'm thinking we've just changed everything, he replied. The Dominion ruled through fear of their weapons. Now those weapons are useless against us, and we have their energy stored in our ram systems, Tom added. Enough power to fuel Earth's advancement for decades. Admiral Lee's voice cut through the celebration. Don't get too comfortable. The Dominion will be back, with different weapons next time. James smiled, touching the ram plate beside him. It felt warm, almost alive with stored energy. Let them come, he said. We'll be ready, and we'll be stronger. The first great battle was over, but humanity's journey to the stars was just beginning. The captured Dominion ship lay in the secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Its hull had been peeled open by ram-enhanced weapons, revealing technology centuries ahead of Earth's understanding. James walked through the alien corridors with a team of scientists, each step echoing strangely on the metallic floor. 3 months had passed since the Great Battle, and humanity was hungry for answers. "Look at this," Bill, the head physicist, pointed to exposed circuitry. "Their whole weapons system runs on principles we never even imagined. They don't just shoot energy. They fold space itself to deliver the blast." James ran his hand along a ram-plated wall they had installed for testing. "And yet this simple metal stops it completely. Why?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Deep in the ship's database, they found the Dominion's own research on weapon development. Tom spent weeks translating it. "Professor Miller." Tom burst into the research lab, waving his tablet. "I found it. The reason RAM works so well against their weapons." The scientists gathered around as Tom projected his findings. Complex equations filled the air, showing how Dominion weapons manipulated space-time to deliver devastating attacks. "Their weapons work by creating tiny folds in reality," Tom explained. "But RAM's atomic structure," he switched to microscopic views of the metal, "it naturally unfolds these distortions. It's like trying to crumple a sheet that instantly smooths itself out. That's why they can't hurt us," Mary added, understanding dawning on her face. "The harder they hit, the more energy RAM has to smooth things back to normal." James studied the data. "Can we use this? Turn their science against them even more effectively?" The answer lay in the Dominion ship's engine room. Their faster-than-light drives used the same principles as their weapons, folding space to cross vast distances. RAM didn't just block these effects, it could control them. "Watch this," Bill said, running a test. He fired a Dominion energy weapon at a RAM plate. Instead of just absorbing the blast, the metal redirected it, creating a controlled space-time distortion. "We can use their own science to power our ships," James realized. "RAM doesn't just protect us, it gives us control over their technology." Military leaders from around the world visited the facility. They watched as scientists demonstrated new applications for RAM, each more incredible than the last. "We've managed to create RAM-based engines," Mary reported to the assembled generals. "They capture and redirect space-time distortions, letting us travel faster than light using the Dominion's own principles against them." The implications were staggering. Humanity wouldn't just survive, they would thrive among the stars. But James noticed something else in the Dominion data, something that kept him awake at night. Hidden in their tactical reports was evidence of other species, older and more powerful than the Dominion, watching from the edges of known space. "We need to be ready," he told the World Defense Council. "The Dominion was just the beginning. There are older powers out there, watching to see what we'll do with this technology." The council listened as James laid out his plans. RAM production would be increased. Every ship would be upgraded. Earth would reach for the stars, protected by the metal that defied physics itself. "The Dominion thought they were gods," James concluded. "Their weapons could shatter planets. But they never understood the basic truth. The universe doesn't bow to force. It adapts. Just like RAM. Just like humanity." As he spoke, far above the Earth, the first RAM-powered starships prepared for their maiden voyages. Their hulls gleamed with the familiar blue-gray sheen, ready to carry humanity to the stars. In his private lab, James kept the original RAM sample, the accident that changed everything. Under the microscope, its atomic structure danced and shifted, still revealing new secrets. The metal that saved Earth would now help defend it. And perhaps, James thought, looking at the stars through his window, it would help humanity find its true place in the universe. They just had to be ready for what they might find out there. The first human fleet powered by RAM drives emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Dominion space. 50 ships, their hulls pulsing with stored energy, arrived without warning. At their head flew the flagship Earthrise, commanded by Admiral Lee herself. "Status report," the Admiral called, watching the alien world grow larger on their main screen. "Dominion defense grid detected," her tactical officer reported. "They're powering up weapons. Different design from what we faced at Earth. Looks like they've been busy. James stood on the bridge, studying the readings. In the 6 months since the Battle of Earth, both sides had evolved, but the Dominion hadn't grasped the true potential of what they faced. Multiple ships launching from the surface, Mary announced from her station. New designs. They think they found a way around Ram. The Dominion fleet approached, their ships bristling with strange new weapons. Beams of twisted reality shot out, attempting to tear space itself apart around the human vessels. But Ram had evolved too. All ships, activate Ram field projection. Admiral Lee commanded. The human fleet's armor began to glow, extending its effects into the surrounding space. Reality itself seemed to steady around them, refusing to be torn. Their weapons, a Dominion transmission crackled through. Their healing space itself. How? James smiled. They still didn't understand. Ram didn't just protect. It restored natural order. The harder they tried to break physics, the stronger Ram's response became. Launch the Ram torpedoes. Admiral Lee ordered. Show them what we've learned. New weapons shot from the human ships. Missiles coated in Ram metal carried a surprise inside. Captured Dominion energy, stored since the Battle of Earth. As they struck, they released this power directly into the alien ship systems. The effect was devastating. Dominion vessels overloaded, their own energy turned against them. Some simply shut down. Others twisted in impossible ways as their reality-warping technology backfired. We're detecting signals, Mary reported, not just from this world. Dozens of occupied planets are watching. They're calling for their leadership to surrender. The Dominion's response was predictable. They launched their ultimate weapon. A massive ship emerged from behind their moon, carrying a device designed to collapse the star system itself. Final warning, humans, the Dominion commander announced. Retreat, or we destroy everything. Admiral Lee looked at James, who nodded. Show them the Ram drive's true power. The Earthrise's engines pulsed. Ram-enhanced fields expanded, catching the very fabric of space-time. The ship didn't just move. It controlled the space around it. Before the Dominion could fire their weapon, the Earthrise appeared beside it, reality rippling like water. Ram-armored boarding teams cut through their hull, not with weapons, but with controlled space-time distortions. The battle ended not with destruction, but with understanding. The Dominion leaders, seeing their ultimate weapon neutralized, finally grasped the truth. Humanity hadn't just defended itself. It had mastered the fundamental forces they thought they controlled. We offer terms, the Dominion Supreme Commander transmitted, his voice heavy with resignation. We recognize Earth's sovereignty and right to expand. We request technology exchange. Admiral Lee responded firmly. First, you acknowledge all inhabited worlds' right to self-governance. Second, you share all data about the older species watching from the edges of space. Then we talk about technology. As the diplomatic channels opened, James watched swarms of smaller ships leaving the Dominion worlds, refugees, merchants, and scientists, all hoping to learn from Earth. The Ram revolution wouldn't be contained. What do we do now? Mary asked, standing beside him on the bridge. James gestured to the stars beyond. We prepare. The Dominion was powerful, but not the most advanced civilization out there. Others are watching, learning. We need to be ready. The Earthrise's Ram drive hummed, ready to carry them home. Behind them, a new era of space travel and exploration dawned. Humanity had not just survived, they had changed the rules of the game. And somewhere out there, ancient eyes watched with growing interest. 5 years after the first discovery of Ram, James stood at the window of humanity's first deep space research station. Below him, a massive shipyard stretched across the void, building vessels that would carry Earth's influence further into the galaxy. Hard to believe it all started with a mistake in my lab, he murmured, watching a new Ram-powered ship take its first flight test. The station hummed with activity. Representatives from 30 different alien species worked alongside humans, all studying the metal that had changed the balance of power in known space. RAM had become more than a defense. It had become a bridge between civilizations. Professor Miller, Mary called from her new position as Chief of Technoscience. The Dominion archives were right. We've made contact with the Ancient Ones. The main screen lit up with an image that made James catch his breath. A ship larger than anything he'd ever seen, made of material that seemed to bend light itself, approached the station. The oldest known species in the galaxy had finally revealed themselves. They say they've been watching us, Mary continued. Ever since RAM was discovered, they want to talk. The Ancient Ones' arrival wasn't threatening. Instead, they brought knowledge and warnings. Their representative, a being of pure energy, shared visions of threats from beyond the galaxy's edge. Things that made the Dominion look primitive. Your RAM technology, the Ancient One communicated directly to their minds. It's not just a defense. It's a key. The universe has rules deeper than physics. You've stumbled upon one of them. In the years since its discovery, RAM had evolved. Under the right conditions, it didn't just protect or absorb energy. It could alter the fundamental properties of space-time itself. Humanity had barely scratched the surface of its potential. Tom burst into the observation deck, his eyes wide with excitement. The new tests are complete. RAM doesn't just interact with energy and matter, it responds to consciousness itself. James watched as demonstration screens showed RAM metal reacting to thought patterns, forming shapes and structures based on mental commands. The implications were staggering. The barriers between mind and matter, the Ancient One observed, between thought and reality. They're not as solid as most species believe. RAM shows us this truth. Around Earth, civilization had transformed. Cities floated on RAM platforms in the sky. Ships carried explorers to the galaxy's edge in days instead of years. Disease and scarcity became memories as RAM-based technology revolutionized every field of science. But with great power came great responsibility. We face a choice, James addressed the United Galaxy Council, descendants of both former Dominion worlds and free planets. RAM could be a weapon, yes, but it's meant to be more. It's a tool for understanding the universe itself. The Council agreed. Under the guidance of both humanity and the Ancient Ones, RAM technology would be shared, but with safeguards. Its power to protect and create would be emphasized over its capacity for destruction. As James ended his speech, he pulled out the original RAM sample from his pocket. It had traveled with him across light years, a reminder of how far they'd come. The universe is stranger and more wonderful than we imagined, he told the assembled representatives. RAM showed us that. Now it's showing us our path to the future. The Ancient Ones nodded in approval. They had waited millennia for a species to make this discovery, to understand that power wasn't about destruction. It was about harmony with the fundamental forces of reality itself. As the council session ended, James returned to his window. Earth glowed in the distance, its RAM shield shimming like a soap bubble around the entire planet. Ships of all species came and went freely, no longer divided by fear or hatred. Not bad, he smiled, for a failed experiment. The metal that had started as humanity's shield had become something far greater, a key to understanding the universe itself, and as humanity looked to the stars, protected by RAM, but driven by curiosity, they knew their greatest discovery still lay ahead. The age of RAM had only just begun.